I've received a huge amount of support and love on my community posts and on my videos lately, and to thank all of you and to honor the power of opinion, I wanted to bring you a very vulnerable opinion and hopefully a very fun video. This is a love letter to my guilty pleasure. It's the year 2000, you're flicking through the stack of VHS tapes in the horror section of Blockbuster, or hey, Video Easy if you live in my neck of the woods. You're in your awkward tween years and you can feel the angsty, edgy phase coming on strong. Actually, it never left. Hail Satan. As you sort through the stack on the shelf, you come across a pretty hardcore cover. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. You loved the first but are unsure about the follow-up, but you throw it in your basket next to Rose Red and Idle Hands. I'm gonna start this one off by admitting Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 is not for everyone. And I firmly believe that it worked for me because I was in that really small niche of people who weren't old enough to see it in the cinema and had to watch it at home and therefore have a nostalgic connection to it. Watching it on VHS with a group of friends on Friday night in a dimly lit lounge room. Screaming at the scares, falling for the stylization and gritty cinematography, and connecting to the gothic character of Kim. What an icon. But don't get it twisted, just because I was a stupid kid clinging to the Marilyn Manson intro, Disposable Teens, which has aged like milk, doesn't mean I was wrong. The film may not have landed it, but the intent was there. And the film is probably more clever than you ever gave it credit for. I will explain that in this video. I might go as far to say that the film was before its time. Instead of following the original steps, Book of Shadows takes a meta approach at looking at one of the most interesting aspects of the original film, the marketing. I'm sure we all have heard of this by now, but here's a quick background on the Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project is about a group of student filmmakers making a documentary about the local legend of a witch. They follow her story into the woods but become lost and disorientated while something hunts them down one by one. The film is framed around the idea of the movie being the footage of this event that was found, and of course, it being real. And people actually bought into this, making it one of the most successful marketed films in horror history. And because of the way the film was made, using the actors to actually record the film, it was also a huge financial success, making it into the Guinness Book of World Records for its box office ratio, making over $10,000 to every $1 spent on the film. The film was a hit, and because of the marketing, the sequel had the unique opportunity to either follow in its footsteps and create follow-up tapes about the same group or another, or it could take a completely new direction. Blair Witch 2 gets meta and takes place after the film has been released, claiming to be a collection of fictionalized reenactments based on the records and interviews of the true events that took place after the release of the original. Because the only thing that is scarier than the idea of the first film was the actual reaction that the world had to it. This is the idea of what happens to the mind when it can't differentiate between reality and fiction. The film opens up with talk show hosts, including an MTV host, recounting the events of the original. This sets the film's tone and intention. Where the first film was a slow descent into ambiguous madness as the characters were terrified to their own demise, the second film looks at the obsession with the film and our need for it to be real.
You know what they do? They run right up, they stop. Hey, Selena. They come over to me and they hug me and they say, dude, I know it's real. And they squeeze me and I squeeze them back and I say, I know it's real too, man. And we have a bond, we have a connection.
The film follows a small group that go into the Black Hills where the first film took place, and they go on an unofficial Blair Witch tour, seeking to find the truth and filming along the way. But on their first night, they lose control while drinking and wake up to a devastating scene. Now they must put together their night with the tapes which were recording the whole time. There are many reasons I love this film. Please hear me out. I want to talk about 3 of them and hopefully change your mind, not completely, but just a little bit. The 3 things I want to focus on today are the characters and why they are really accurate stereotypes of people within the horror community even today, the hidden meaning, symbols, and messages throughout the film, and then of course, my favorite, the film's self-awareness. Let's start with the characters.
Everyone is obsessed with the Blair Witch for their own reasons, including us.
Although partly cheesy, the characters on the Blair Witch tour actually reflect those of us in the horror community, showing our obsession with horror in different ways. First, we have Jeff, who leads the tour and has a successful online store selling Blair Witch merchandise. Jeff is a Blair Witch fanatic and it's his life. Jeff, just like the majority of big horror fans, wants to be part of the story and share his passion with like-minded people. And just like the Blair Witch, which had the pseudo-doco Curse of the Blair Witch as part of its marketing, which was a 45-minute hype-up before the original film came out, Book of Shadows has its own pseudo-documentary, following Jeff and others who are transfixed by the Blair Witch phenomenon. And I guess I'm kind of a Jeff, but I'm also part Stephen and Tristan. This couple joins the tour seeking answers. One believes the tale and the other is skeptic, and they are writing a book, Blair Witch: History or Hysteria. They are fans, but from a critical perspective, they are not so much coming along for the ride, but they're wanting to find the answers. And then we have Erica, the true Wiccan, someone who connects to the folklore and undertone of the film. Many of us find comfort in horror. It's a therapeutic way for us to safely face our fears and learn something about ourselves. Erica, unlike the others, is connected to the witch herself. She feels that she was wronged and deeply misunderstood.
Ellie was a good witch. I mean, she was an earth child like me. She's gonna be my mentor.
Her character was also based on the backlash from the Wiccan community after the first Blair Witch Project was released. And then we have my favorite Kim, played by Kim Director. Kim is a horror fan who actually just enjoyed the film.
Now, if you don't believe in the Blair Witch, then why the hell did you bother to come?
I thought the movie was cool.
Kim also has psychic abilities, but this doesn't have a lot to do with her connection of the film. It's just a spooky way for the story to progress. Let me know if any of these represent you as a horror fan or all of them together. Are you Jeff, obsessed with horror and making it the center of your life? Are you Stephen and Tristan, seeking the truth? You like the facts, interviews, and behind the scenes of films? Are you an Erica, someone who feels connected or misunderstood and finds comfort in the story? Or Kim, you just think the films are cool and you're coming along for the ride. The next thing that fascinates me about this film is the hidden messages. The first film has an open ending, but we still are left with clues along the way about facing the wall, which tell us what actually happened. Book of Shadows also explains the truth, but does so in the clues it leaves for us to find. This is why it's undeniable that this film does have layers, even though it might have just been available on home video.
It's backwards.
Go back to bed, Tristan.
The little girl backwards. Erica dancing backwards.
Enter The Secret of Esrevar, also known as The Secret of Reverse. The DVD and VHS release of the film had secret code words hidden in the shots. Take, for example, the tombstone, which reads treacle, but then changes to further, and then changes back to treacle in the next shot. There's code words hidden throughout the film, and when all of these are uncovered and rearranged into a sentence, they say, "Seek me no further," or a phrase that viewers could type into the Blair Witch Project website, which no longer exists as of 2008, and it would play an extra scene that was not in the film. But additionally, after the clues are revealed in the film, Tristan says something in reverse,
Kla Niaga Lee Nerdlik 8.
which works out to be the children will again walk free. So putting the clues together, we get "seek me no further" or "the children will walk again free," meaning that the group was too close to the witch herself and she was threatening to release the children, which she had entrapped, onto them, cursing them. But besides this, the film is also riddled with different hidden symbols and alternative meanings for objects and even people in passing. They really did put a lot of details into this film that were completely skipped over by most people. And this wasn't intended to be just a scavenger hunt, it was actually to cause the audience to double take at what they were watching and question what they were actually seeing and what was real. Which leads me to my favorite aspect, the self-awareness of the film. The film is based on a couple of different ideas. How willing the public is to accept something on tape is true, and the danger of blurring the lines between truth and fiction. And this idea was inspired by the play 6 Characters in Search of an Author. 6 Characters in Search of an Author is about a group of characters searching for the connection between reality and illusion. The play is broken into different acts, starting as a story about characters of a play in need for an author of their story. As the play progresses, the relationship between the characters and the storylines they are creating, as well as the audience, is blurred. The play is about being self-aware of their situation as characters while also having it be their reality. What's real and what's fiction? The film is based around this idea, the characters representing different reactions to the film and how the audience was willing to believe it. They also dip their toes into the idea of mass hysteria, and that comes back to the marketing of the film, when some people believed the original Blair Witch Project was real, and so everyone started to believe the same delusion.
Collective delusion. Group hysteria. It's what I'm writing my book about. You get a bunch of people together, you get them scared enough.
Dude, spare us the bullshit.
And then, of course, the tape. The original tape is the Blair Witch film in full, while in Book of Shadows, the tape is supposedly the truth and the rest is fiction, which is why the clues along the way are so interesting. They transfer this to the viewer because at home, you're actually playing it on your VHS machine. You have a tape, and your tape is playing tricks on you. At the end of the film, we see what was actually on the tape and how it couldn't be real. It's almost like for 1 second, Book of Shadows tells the audience what they should have known about the original film.
Video never lies, Kim. Film does, though.
That tape is wrong!
It has self-awareness in its own universe it created. I acknowledge my love of Book of Shadows has to do with nostalgia and its different layers, but I also definitely acknowledge that it does run out of steam, and there's a couple of different reasons for this. The director's intent of a slow descent into madness was softened by several things. I think probably the most jarring aspect of this was Jeff's scenes of him at an awfully cinematically stereotypical psych ward, which gave away any subtle hints to his background. This is rumored to be added after the film was completed and a reshoot that was never really meant to exist. They also cut the interrogation scenes earlier into the film, where they were meant to be held on until the ending. So in a way, the editing kind of switched around the whole film, trying to pique the audience's interest at the start, but it ended up fizzling out. Obviously, the studio and director butted heads, and this shows in the inconsistent flow of the story. But overall, even if the film is said to not be well received by audiences, it technically is still a financial success, grossing $47 million worldwide against its $15 million budget. My love for the film is deeply rooted in the nostalgia and my love for Kim. But my hope is that you at home learned something new about this film, and not that you love it or even like it, but maybe it's a little bit deeper than you originally thought. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have to thank you so much for being here and watching all the way to the end. My name is Emma. I do spooky videos 2 times a week, talking about horror movies, talking about thriller movies, and giving you a lot of recommendations and sometimes some deep dives. I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like to subscribe, I'd love to have you here, and I'll talk to you very soon. Stay spooky, friends. Bye.